Hello everyone, welcome to the Money Club series. I am your host, Zah Azmi, and I am joined by Sam Aljana Chicken.
Aljana Chicken. I'm a big spender there, I might as well buy one.
You should buy a franchise. They're blowing up, Sam.
They are.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere now, huh?
They're massive. They're the next McDonald's.
Should we buy one instead of a...
I think you should definitely buy one because you eat enough there.
I eat enough. But I know the recipe.
Where you been, mate?
I was going to say Sam.
Where have you been?
I don't think people care where I've been. Where have you been, mate?
Mate, we've been extremely busy. Extremely busy. It's been a crazy last 6 months for us. We had a lot of land register, and it's just all crammed into one. And
when was the last time we did one? I can't remember.
Can't remember.
What month it was? April or something?
Decade ago or something.
It's
been too long. So we apologise to our listeners, but we're back for a final episode for 2022 for the Money Club series, and we wanted to do, I guess, a bit of a wrap up, assess what's going on in the economy at the moment. It's tough times.
Exactly.
It's hard, right?
It's sort of the flavour of the month, but it's been a few months now. Tough times. So
well, interest rates have gone up for how many months in a row now? Is it 6 or 7 months?
I think it's since March or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when it started, but it started, hasn't stopped. It doesn't look like it's stopping yet, maybe next year. But obviously it's putting a squeeze on a lot of people.
On top of everything else. So we had the lockdowns last year where we were locked down for like 4 or 5 months. People done it tough then. Lettuce got to $12 a bunch or whatever it was, that iceberg lettuce saga. There's no toilet paper. Petrol's gone through the roof. Like to fill my truck up, it literally cost double than when I first bought it a couple of years ago.
Has that gone down? Is it still around that
It's
time?
still quite high.
Price?
Yeah, it's still diesel's still quite high. Actually, unleaded's cheaper than diesel. I think it's always been cheaper, but it's a big gap at the moment. And when you think about it, right, with diesel, it's used to transport everything.
Yeah.
Right, so our food in our supermarkets have gone up in price because obviously the delivery costs and airfares at the moment. Actually, what type of fuel does a plane use?
Oh, that's aviation fuel. It's like high octane. I think it's expensive.
Yeah, well, it's even more expensive now, right? Like flights are through the roof, and it's putting a lot of pressure on households, and especially people with not just fixed incomes, but business owners as well. Because their cost of goods have gone up.
Yeah, it's pretty much across the board, everywhere. If you haven't copped it, I don't know, you mustn't be spending money.
Yeah.
So everyone in the economy has been feeling for the last 6 months. So it's become a new normal. I think we were getting used to that whole new normal of cheap money, things not being so expensive, and you being able to borrow whatever you want, do whatever you want. Even though there was uncertainty, there wasn't this type of high cost environment, it's really going to test people's ability to manage their money, make the right decisions, and build themselves up to insulate them from, because I don't think it's gonna, I think next year it's not gonna say get easier. It might plateau a bit and become a new normal. So it's sort of like prepare yourself and get things in order and become tougher to deal with it.
Well, it's you can't really, as much as we want to blame the government, right? Like they sort of did what they had to do. Where they dropped rates, they started printing cash because they were freaking out, right, with this whole COVID thing. And, as much as we want to bash the government and blame them and all of that sort of thing, it happened, right? And they did what they had to do. And imagine if they raised interest rates while we were locked down, right? We wouldn't have.
Fucked.
Yeah, it would have been really, really tough times then. So, at the time when they slashed rates and then they started printing all of the cash, it was sort of like, okay, well, now we've got all of this easy money, we can survive this lockdown or whatever it is, the business hardship and all of that sort of thing. People went on mortgage holidays, but there's always going to be a hangover. So we had a party, we were given that party, and now we're sort of suffering from that hangover. And it was always going to come, right? So as much as, the media are all about bitching and moaning because they're trying to get that negativity spread across society. And it sells newspapers, right? But what they don't do is really say, okay, well, it is what it is. let's see what we can do to get through this tough period. And then if you can get through this tough period on the other side, which you will, because it's all going to happen anyway, you're essentially going to be a stronger person.
Be in a better place. I think everyone has to remember, just like anything, there's cycles. Life is in cycles, even the economy, all this kind of stuff. Things are temporary. So it might be tough now. I think what might have disguised the prosperity we had just previously in the last 2 years through COVID, there was actually a prosperous time. Even though it was uncertain, if you did certain things, you came out on top. So there was a bit of a prosperous time there. It was just clouded around all the negative sort of external things, COVID and all that kind of stuff. But it was actually sort of a good time. Would you agree?
Well, our businesses took off.
Exactly.
Right.
And people who invested and got out of money and did other things with their money, they did okay. So that was a sort of a boom time for some people. And now it's the harsher time now, a slower time now. But things are in cycles. So it's only a matter of time.
It can't boom forever, Sam.
That's right.
It can't boom forever. And look, we're in the reason why times are tough is because the economy is so strong, right? So if the economy was weak, then they probably wouldn't be the inflation that we've got. We probably wouldn't have these rates going up. So we need to be thankful we're in an economy that's quite strong, and that they're trying to really just tame the inflation and make things better for us and set us up for the next boom, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't have it boom forever, but at the same time, you want that incremental growth, and so does the government, right? They want that economic growth to occur sustainably over the next 10, 20, 30 years. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today is what things you can do and focus on over the next 2-3 years, or however long this tough period's going to be, so that you can come out stronger on the back end.
All right, we'll go through 10 things that are relevant and what we think will help us all. First one being the accountant here, it's going to be numbers one.
We can tell you wrote this book, being number one.
It's very exciting, but I think what's important people have to remember is to do exciting shit, you have to do the boring shit properly, right? So you have to get this stuff down pat before you can go and do all the fancy stuff. So it goes back to, I think, the first podcast we ever did was about budgeting. We did like a whole 2 hours or whatever on it. Budgeting, and it's not so much budgeting, just know your money. So know how much
especially now, Sam, with the cost of living going through the roof.
Like if you're not catering for those increases, if you don't even know what you were spending before, and now things have gone up, you don't know how much they've gone up because you didn't even know how much you were spending before. So not knowing how much you're spending, what you're spending on, some people don't even really know how much they're taking home. It's weird. Their pay rates and all that kind of stuff. So getting across your income and your, say, inflow and outflow of money, hopefully you're in the positive, so you're not spending all your money. Getting on top of that, we had 2 years where you sort of didn't have to worry about it, but now coming into this environment, now moving forward, you sort of have to look at that.
So normally we would say this would affect people who are on fixed income, such as employees, and a lot of our listeners are employees, right? Yep. And obviously they need to watch their money and know their numbers and their budget and all of that sort of thing. But this is also applicable to business owners now, because business may slow down. You don't know. People are going to have less money to spend in the economy. And if let's just, for example, you own a retail store or whatever it is, they're going to have less money to spend at your business, right? So you need to prepare for these tough times. Like, a lot of people will be coming off fixed rate mortgages next year. A lot of people are having to pay rental increases, which are, rents are surging at the moment because you just can't get a rental. That is obviously the first expense. Apart from tax, your second biggest expense is housing. Yep. And once that's affected, then that's going to have a trickle-down effect on the luxuries. So, if you own a pub, you're probably going to see less consumers coming in. And you need to prepare for those tough times by actually drawing a budget. So back in the day, you and I would go, business owners they live in abundance and all of that sort of thing. But, I think this is going to apply to certain business owners where, they are reliant on a clientele that are on fixed incomes. It will affect their business, it will affect their revenue, which means that, tighten the belt over the next 6-12 months.
It's a very good point you put there. So really the business is at the mercy of the consumer, and the consumer has a fixed income. So you're very right. And I think where you like to explain where businesses can try and push is growing the revenues. So you can
Top line.
Yeah. So as an employee, you can sort of grow your revenue, but in business you have a bit more ability to. So you can focus on the top line if you're able to, instead of the bottom line. But yeah, no, I think moving forward, having a grasp of your numbers. If your accountant is any good, he should be able to help you as well. If you need help, let me know. But they should at least give you some insights. Numbers isn't something everyone's really good at. You might be good at business or in life doing different things, but some people are just shit at numbers, and it's normal. So,
but you got to learn them. You got to learn them. Everyone's a business, right? So, what you will get out of this, and this is why there's always a positive out of the boring and negative stuff, is that when times get good again, and we go through a boom period, and you've got a firm grasp on your numbers, I mean, you're gonna know what to do with your money. Like, for example, on our previous podcast, we've talked about a lot about my failures and business ventures that went wrong and a lot of losses, and that forced me to become frugal again. And all of those times I had to turn to frugality has now taught me to be really good when the boom time comes, because it's very easy to get caught up in the moment, make heaps of money or whatever it is, and then just blow it, right? So like, it's really important to know your numbers in the tough times, so that when the good times come, you actually know how to manage your money better. It's very important.
100%. What's the next one, man?
Upskill. We've talked about this again, in previous podcasts. This is probably a good time to, whether you're in a career at a job or you're in a business, upskill, learn something new. Use the time of maybe not seeing as many clients, the quiet period, to educate yourself better.
Yeah, upskill is all about bringing more value. You like to talk about that a lot. You have to provide value, and you're not going to get paid more if you don't have either value to give or more value if you want more money. So definitely something to consider. Very easy to do these days, to upskill. There's training courses freaking everywhere. There's even informal ones. You can get online and do some informal training. It's relatively cost efficient. It can be deductible for tax purposes if you do it. And I think there's a few different ways you can look at it. You can look at it like the worker's point of view. So if you're an employee, I see a lot of the time people are afraid to ask for more money. So maybe it's just a matter of saying, hey, look at the economy, the environment outside. Is there any chance we can, be paid more? Is there anything else I can do to get paid more? Whatever, all that kind of stuff.
I think if you bring more value to the table, you don't even need to ask for more money. It'll come, right? And I think a lot of people, they sit back and feel entitled to more money. But what we've got to realise is we live in a very competitive environment. We've got to remember that every other person, for example, is on social media. So if you decide not to be on social media, you're going to lose. Like, we're in a very, very competitive environment. Like, people might look at my marketing as too much, but if I compare myself to, say, our competitors, it's actually not enough, right? So, but I don't sit here and complain that I need more business or need more money, right? But if I was in that mindset and going, okay, I now need to hit more people, I need to sign up more clients and all of that sort of thing, I would learn a new skill, right? And it could be better skills on social media, or it could be hiring another team to manage that for me. Whatever it is, use it as an opportunity to find out something new, and then again, when the good times come, you'll kill it.
And I think that's the key thing that's happening here. It's giving rise to the opportunity to do something different. The hard time is allowing you to pivot. So you could take on new things. You can keep things that are working well, but whatever's not working, in terms of costs or incomes, you can adjust and try and get better return.
I think you're actually going backwards if you're not constantly upskilling yourself, because what's happening at the moment with AI and all this technology that's coming up, it's in the next 10, 20 years, it's going to replace so many of the middle class, right? So if you're not learning new skills, and if you're just doing the same thing day in, day out for the next 20, 30 years, and it's the same thing, you may not have a job, right? So it depends on what you do, right? But You need to constantly be learning, constantly be growing, and those new skill sets should be adaptable to the time that we're in and for the future. Because a lot of the skill sets that, let's say for example, that our parents had, right? Like my dad was a very sort of hands-on guy, you know, he worked in abattoirs with his hands and all of that sort of thing. That'll be all soon done by robots. You know what I mean? And as magnificent of a skill that he has with using knives and all of that sort of thing, like it will become obsolete in the future. So we can't operate like I guess our parents did. We need to stay competitive. And that means learning new skills as we go. I think you should try and learn something like every year, whether the time is good or bad.
And I think more so as well, as a lot of that physical type work, my dad did the same sort of stuff. That's sort of becoming redundant. We're in a technology and information world now. You sort of have to know stuff. If you really want to get paid a lot of money, whatever it is, you sort of need to know the stuff.
Yeah.
If you, whatever you know, whatever you can say, recall, like lawyers, engineers, all that kind of stuff, they get paid massive money. So
look at Macca's at the moment, right? Something as simple as Macca's. There's no one there.
Yeah,
you know, I know El Jana's is not there yet, right? But it will be, right? But there's no one there to talk to. Like you press it on the computer, and then you know you pay it at the computer, and you just wait for it to get served to you. Like the other day we went there, I wanted a napkin. I couldn't talk to anyone.
You couldn't get one.
I couldn't get one.
Shit. Okay.
Because the only person that was available was the person just bringing the food out, and that person's not even serving people, just delivering food. Wow. Like it's madness. And even back, you know, I guess back a house, they probably got their systems and robots where they just don't need people anymore.
Limited people. And think about when we were younger. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. But a lot of people, that was their first job. So they're removing even the entries into making money. So a lot of kids used to go there, get the first job and do something else after just to get the experience. Now that's sort of becoming harder. So even at a younger age, forget about us, at a younger age, you're going to have to sort of go, okay, I can't get these easier things now. What do I have to go and learn more to do something else.
Yeah, so. Have to get a job at El Jana's.
Learn your chickens.
Number 3.
Number 3, okay. Very big one, I think could be one of the most important ones. We talk about it a lot, and it's the importance of communication. So if you can't communicate, really you're going to create a tough time for yourself regardless of your external environment. So learn to communicate is a massive thing.
I actually think this is probably the biggest point and the biggest opportunity over the next decade. I'll tell you why. A lot of young people now, and I'm talking probably Gen Zs, they're just fucking spastics. They're
hopeless.
Right? Like they can't talk, right? And I don't blame them. Right? They only know how to communicate through direct messaging or whatever it is that they do on their phones, right? And I've had this experience because I've recently taken note of this probably in the last 12 months when I've interacted with people who are under the age of 20. They struggle with people skills, and they struggle to hold conversations, and they get anxious very quickly, they're very awkward. And I think the biggest opportunity for the younger generation, because that's what we do, we do everything for the younger generation. I just had a baby boy, and I think about his generation, and they are going to be our next leaders, right? So I think those people, they need to do tremendous education and work on communication, because if the majority of that generation don't know how to communicate, and you know how to communicate, you're going to control that whole generation. People are going to listen to you.
You'll be a leader.
So things like public speaking, things like podcasts, like these things are really, really important. These are the skills that I think is the biggest opportunity. And when people will listen to this and go, it's nothing. Communicating, it's nothing. It's just talking to someone. But really, that is going to be the biggest opportunity, because most people aren't going to be able to communicate properly. Notice how everyone wants to do Zoom calls now. Everyone wants to work from home, right? No one wants to get face to face with anyone. What's that? That's going to grow even more. Like more and more people are going to want to not come to the office and all of those sort of things. But for that one person that goes, you know what? I'm doing the face to face. I'm doing the dinners. I'm doing the lunches. right? That person's going to win
That's
because they're going to build that relationship and that connection with the other person.
Do you reckon it's going to come full circle where we go completely like online and it'll be like, wow, this ain't working. People need, because as humans, as well as being successful, it's going to help you do that. We need to interact. Like
Look,
human
it's happening
interaction.
now, Sam.
I
Like
know,
you can't tell me that all of these salesmen out there are doing deals over Zoom calls. Mate, you can't do big
Real
deals.
estate agents aren't really doing
You
it.
can't.
They're out
you
on
can't.
the weekends
You've got to be in front of people. You've got to build that emotional connection, right? You've got to feel what the other person is trying to communicate to you, so you can fulfill their needs, right? I find it really, really difficult to fulfill someone's needs or a client's needs over a phone call.
Yeah. If you haven't met them.
If I haven't met them, you can't do it over an email.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Like my experience, for example, we have to use external brokers who aren't connected to us because our clients come to us. They might have their solicitor, they might have their broker, and we have, obviously by law, we can't say to them, hey, use our guys, right? They've got the relationships with their guys and we've got to respect that. But I would say 90% of the time, these guys fuck up the deal because they've never met me.
Yeah.
They'll read a contract and go, nah, not happy with it, and then we lose the deal, right?
Yeah.
They do a half-assed job on a loan and they go, declined, but because they don't care for the service that I'm providing for the client, right? This is not all of them, right? I've met some really good ones that have been connected to clients, but most of them, on purpose, will sabotage a deal, right? Because they don't know who I am.
They don't know you. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I do now is I drive to everybody. I push for a face-to-face meeting and you get more done, right? When you do the face-to-face, you'll get more done. And if you can learn how to do that, because a lot of things now, like even with like PTs and stuff like that, they're doing a lot of online coaching and all of that sort of thing. That's great. You can make a lot of money from it and all of that sort of thing, but nothing beats communicating with someone in person, and providing tremendous amounts of value to them. And then those people go, you know what, Zara's been so good to me, I'm going to refer 10 of my friends.
Becomes the marketing for you.
Exactly.
Automatic marketing.
So the way you've got to look at it is, okay, don't look at going to dinner with a client as a waste of time, or going to have even a coffee with, not even a client, with somebody as a waste of time. Because that emotional connection that you build with them is an investment into their network.
Yeah. I think people, they see the effort, and where they see the effort, they'll respond. So a lot of the time when we deal with clients in property space or accounting space, we're talking to them before they're even on board, so, or want to engage us. So that they see that if we go out and see them and meet them, they remember that, and they'll choose us over someone else. So I think it's a being present and being physically available and meeting people, I think, like you said, is very important.
Like just on businesses doing that. Like even in our hair salon.
Yep.
I mean, hair is we're fortunate where hair is something that cannot be done over a Zoom call, right? You have to be hands on. So every one of our girls, they know how to communicate.
They have to.
Right? They have to. They have to make conversation. They have to build that emotional connection with the client. So the client leaves on a high and tells everybody about us, right? You can't do that over Zoom. You're not going to have that impact, right? And that's really important in social settings as well. Like if you're a single bloke and you're trying to get a missus, like if you're just that introvert that goes, oh, you know what, I'm just going to jack off to YouTube and, hopefully, or PornTube, whatever it is, and I'm going to hopefully get someone on Tinder, right, and they come around, right? You're not going to find a missus that way. I'm sure people have, but it's...
But you know what? Even if you go the Tinder route, you have to fucking meet them.
Yeah.
You have to meet them.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you want to do that over a Zoom call, right? I'm sure people do that as well. But, if you're trying to find a partner or you're trying to even if you're trying to make new friends, like you have to get into the groove of connecting with people, right? And also providing value, like social value as well. You don't want to be negative, and we'll get on to like having a positive attitude later on. But we've all got those friends and family who are just negative, right? Yeah. You don't want to be one of those people because people won't want to communicate with you.
They won't hang out with you anymore.
Exactly. So communication is not just being able to talk to someone, but it's about being able to hold a conversation and bring that value, and that person going, you know what, I want to do business with this guy. I want to be friends with this guy.
That's right.
Right? I'm approachable.
And what it'll do, it'll help you when times are tough. If you're able to communicate and build an audience and all that kind of, people want to deal with you, even with tough times, you still have an audience.
Because relationships are everything, right? I have bought stuff from businesses not because I even needed it. My last car I bought, I didn't even want the car. But my mate sold it. He owns a dealership, and I was like, and he called me. He goes, "Do you want this car?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not really in the market, but I'll come catch up with you."
Yeah.
I wouldn't have caught up with him if I didn't have a relationship with him. And I got there, and I was like, you know what?
Nice
I'll buy it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have the relationship with him. So it's really important, man. Like it's not just in business, but in social settings as well. This Gen Z generation, I think it's a really, really important one. I really wanted to spend a lot of time on that one because it's important. Well, look, it's important to me because now that I've had Cash, my baby son, communication is going to be a really big thing for him.
And you want him to be an expert at it.
Exactly.
A gun. No, that's good. I agree. It's going to be a dying sort of art. Communication should work on it if you're not already. Number 4, upgrading of your network. So I guess
your network is your net worth.
And there's another one. You are the sum of your 5 closest people you work with or hang around.
Your
group. So what we're saying is mix with bigger and better people. Get into those circles where you're maybe not already, as well as trying to get into those circles and upgrade your friendships and all that stuff. Eliminate, like you were saying, the friends, family, whoever it is that isn't really a cheerleader. Okay,
and we've all got them.
Oh, and they keep popping up from time to time. You just got to identify
the more successful you become, the more apparent they'll all come out of the woodwork. And it's that old saying, take notice of those people that don't clap when you win.
Massive. So, as well as trying to seek out, say, better mentors, and I guess not only mentors, people you can hang out on a frequent basis, or if you can engage them for a service and become part of their sort of network through that way, which I know you've done before to do certain things.
Easiest way is to buy a product, right? Yeah. Like if you genuinely want to be
to the game,
exactly. Like if you genuinely want to be in a specific circle or network, buy one of their products, pay for one of their services, and then all of a sudden you're automatically in the circle. That's what I've always done. Every time I've gone, you know what, I wonder if I could get in there, and maybe they don't have a product for sale. Donate to their chosen charity. You know what I mean? Call them up and go, look, I want to donate, $2,000 or $3,000 to your foundation. Yep. They're going to talk to you, right? So I think I made the mistake, or it wasn't really a mistake. I'm glad I went through it, but thinking that if I network with people that just had money, that would be good for me. It wasn't, because it's how they made the money.
That's what I was going to say. How did they get the money?
Did they inherit it from old money, as in family wealth, where you're probably not going to learn, you might learn something from them, but I know I didn't, right? Is the bloke a drug dealer, right? Do you really want to be around that? There's so many different types of wealth out there, and you've got to choose which one is for you, right? If you're an aspiring drug dealer, then maybe that would work for you. If you're happy to deal with, rich kids, then maybe they're the ones for you, because obviously they serve a purpose, right? For me, it was about surrounding myself with a lot of self-made people that have come from nothing. When I say nothing, it's like they grew up in commission flats, right? They went to public schools.
No wealth behind them.
There was nothing there, and that really worked for me, So I quickly found people who were obviously more successful than I was. I did my background checks to see how they built their wealth. And look, that goes for the spiritual side of things as well, and it's not, and the health side of things as well. It's not just money, but you need to quickly identify where you're at and where you've come from and what you're actually looking for, and then buy a ticket to the game.
And how do you get into the networks? As well as buying the ticket, this is actually emphasizing our previous point, communication. So you can identify where you want to be, but you have to be able to get in there, and you're going to have to talk, really. You can buy the ticket to the game, but then you have to engage and, mingle with these people, all that kind of stuff.
And I think a lot of people think of networking as, hey, my name is Zar, and this is what I do, right? Like, no one's going to fucking remember you that way. It's more so, hi, my name is Zar, how can I serve you and provide more value to your life, right? Not, this is what I do, this is the service I provide. No. This is what I can do for you, right? And when you become a high value man or woman, what's going to happen is they're going to want to be in your network, and they'll converse with you, and then they'll bring value to you, hopefully. But I think the biggest thing with networking is don't just introduce yourself and say what you do. Ask questions. Find out how you can serve them. Find out how you can help them. And you may not get a return for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Like I've done favors for people 5, 10 years ago where I have never got a return. And I can pick up the phone now and say, okay, now I need this.
It's all about giving, really. It's giving without expecting a return. So you're in a position where you have, again, going back to it, you have knowledge. You're a good communicator, so people are naturally attracted to you, and they want to know what you know so they can better themselves. So, and you're happy to do that because you do have the knowledge. You're a good communicator. You can give a lot. And because you give a lot, it's like you're planting seeds. And not all of them grow into these massive trees, right, Sam? No. It's like, and this is what people have to understand.
And
you don't care about that.
You don't get dirty over that, right? You've got to understand that you've got to give a lot more than you receive.
Correct.
And this is what I've had a lot of people ask me. They go, Zah, how have you done it? And I'm like, well, are you prepared to give away what I've given? Are you prepared to leave this much money on the table? Yeah. Because if you're not, you probably won't get the return, right?
You'll just be run of the mill.
But this is the thing with me, Sam. Like, I actually enjoy giving. It's really a good feeling. Like we're here now, it's at Christmas time, and we've budgeted a lot to give to our circle and into our network. But it really makes all of the hard work worth it. Like I love rewarding myself and my family. But really, nothing feels better than giving to those around you who have helped you along the way. Like it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, and that's why you do it. You feel good after.
It's very selfish.
It's a very unselfish, selfish thing.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's good. All right, let's move on to number 5. Number 5. Okay.
Easier said than done. Don't be afraid in tough times.
Yeah, very, very much.
There's a lot of fear at the moment because people are like, okay, interest rates are going to go out forever. Petrol's going to go up forever. Well, it is true, things are going to go up forever, but what are you going to do about it?
And they actually do. With inflation, it's built into the system. So
this is why we push people so hard to create wealth for themselves. 100%. Create the freedom. Don't be stuck in your job or stuck in your business and be a slave.
So the fix to it is about being afraid is to actually do something. So you're combating it. So, I think there's never going to be a right time to do anything.
Whether that's starting a business, buying a property, there's never the best time.
Taking risk, you just take the risk. So you just do it. And if you go back through, I think we always get caught up about being too zoomed in and thinking like within the last 12 months, say 6 months before, 6 months in the future. Because when you zoom out and you look at, say, the tough times that have occurred in, say, Australia's history, they might have blips along the way, but it's been like on a very much upward trajectory.
Yeah.
So
it's not linear.
It's not linear. Yeah, so that's right.
You're going to go through cycles.
That's right. So don't be afraid of tough times because you should know that good times are coming, and you can just have a more positive mindset.
And this is the thing people have to understand is that these tough times are setting us up for the good times. If you just had good times all the time, you're not going to appreciate the good times.
That's right.
Right? It's like what does 50 Cent say? He says something like, you can't enjoy the sunshine if it wasn't for rainy days, right? It's something along those lines, which is true. Like we've had a lot of rain this year. When we see the sun, how much do we love it?
Yeah, 100%.
We all take advantage of it. Now we all finally go to the beach. We never used to go to the beach before. Like we do things and our mood is so much better than when it was raining, right? But if it was sunny every day, you're going to have bad days on sunny days.
Exactly.
Right? So you're not going to appreciate the sunny day.
100%.
So now is the time to knuckle down and go, okay, well, all right, I've got to get through this tough period. But like you said, if we zoom out, the good times will come. It'll come again.
It's only temporary. And another thing, everyone watching this probably watches different things online, different types of education. And one thing that's popped up is, and you probably know this as well through all your reading, there are more millionaires occur after recessions than in boom time. So it's like during these harder times where people identify opportunity, this is where you're actually buying at the discounts.
This is the funny thing though, right? And this goes back to the Warren Buffett quote of be fearful when others are greedy, which was probably a couple of years ago, and be greedy when others are fearful, which is now. And a lot of people, they say that in a good time. They go, I'm going to wait, right, till share prices are 30% down. I'm going to wait till, properties going through a dip or correcting and all of that sort of thing. But then when it occurs, all of a sudden, they don't want to be in that asset class. Like, for example, we get a lot of hate on our social media because obviously we pump property. We're very pro property, no matter what stage of the cycle we're in. So we're in this, I guess, a declining stagnation period. What's happening? A lot of people are saying, Zah, you're mad. You're mad to give this advice. Property's going to crash, and why would you get them to buy that asset class when we're going to have a 40% drop in the market and all of that sort of thing? And we've seen drops and declines. I think it's gone down by 5-10% or whatever it is, which we're not bothered by. But people don't understand is that when the boom comes again, and that could be in another 5 or 6 years, we don't know. But let's say it does come again, wouldn't you be glad that you took action now rather than in 5 or 6 years? So now's the time. So over the next, we predict 6 to 12 months is probably in regards to property, a really good buying window because you're going to be buying at discounts. And if you're like our strategy is buy and hold, as you know, right? So it doesn't matter. Even if we bought at the peak or at the bottom, it doesn't really matter. But I'd much rather buy at the bottom, which is probably the next 6 to 12 months. So now's the time to act, even though interest rates are going up, cost of living's going up. This is pushing a lot of the majority out of the market, so it's less competition for us to buy.
And the good thing you said there is about the bottom. So you're anticipating the bottom, but you're not trying to pick it. You're just trying to buy while it's in this sort of environment, which is what you should be doing. So you can't pick a bottom because by the time the bottom's occurred, people have already identified it's in the past. So you can't pick it.
You'll never pick the day of the bottom of the market.
Exactly.
You'll never ever pick it.
But just accumulate while you can in that period, and it's a long-term game, and you'll be doing okay in the future.
Just don't sell. That's a big thing. A lot of people are freaking out. They're going, "Oh, I'm going to sell," and it's like, why?
I remember seeing a stat, and apparently a lot of people do, and I don't understand it. Where you might be holding an asset, it goes down, and people sell. Why do you sell? I get it if you can't afford to hold it, but why do people sell when things go down? Just hold
it's madness.
I don't understand.
It's madness.
Because you're just losing money.
Yeah.
Just hold it longer term and you'll get it back. But I don't know. They're not listening to us, but anyway.
What are we on, number 6?
Number 6.
Go back to work.
Go back to work.
Get a job.
I think we meant that in a way like...
get back to the office.
Get back to the office, be amongst people. I think this is sort of mental health one. I saw it a bit... You work a lot alone as well, but when you work alone for a long time, it's not good. It's not good for you. You miss the interaction. You miss dealing with people. Your communication skills fuck up.
And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about communication, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
you forget how to deal with people. And I'll give you an example, right? Sometimes I won't answer the phone. I won't start answering phone calls until say midday. And what happens is, the reason being is because I'm just trying to punch out as much work as I can in the morning, and then I'm like, okay, I'll reserve the afternoon for phone calls. But what happens is I then really dread those phone calls in the afternoon because I haven't spoken to anyone. And it's really hard. As opposed to if I start making calls, say, and I don't do that every day, right? But if I start making calls like this morning, make calls at 7:30 in the morning.
Yep.
My first call, I think it was like at 7. And I was bang, 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 bang. And I was in the rhythm, right? And what happened is I started calling people instead of people calling me. And I started getting a lot more done. And what happened was, you know, like I started that momentum early. So if you think about that example, right? Let's say you go for days by just doing emails, not talking to anyone, not seeing anyone face to face. You'll become this recluse, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good for your personal progression. You might be getting a pay packet and rewarded, you know, monetarily, but you know, as personal growth, it's probably not going to occur.
Yeah. So very important. I think going back to work, being amongst people allows you to brush up on your communication skills. It can even lead to promotions and new opportunities when you're amongst people. I remember seeing, I think it was Jim Rohn online. He was saying, if you're the one at the office the earliest, and the boss keeps seeing you there early in the morning, that regardless of how you perform, then they're going to go, oh, this guy turns up.
He's giving it a crack.
So they already put you above the rest of the people. So just by being present, doing the basics right, going back to work, showing enthusiasm, all that kind of stuff, can
just show up.
Open doors.
Just show up, man. Just show up. Let's keep moving. Invest in your relationships, which is very similar to what we talked about with you're upgrading your network. But this is more so, I think, maybe people that you can help out as well. This can be people like your family. And invest. And we get so caught up in trying to reach up higher that sometimes we forget about the people below us that actually need the help. And there are a lot of people in my network who need the help, and they work very hard and they deserve the help. And I spend an equal amount of time, if not more time, with those people trying to lift them up. So it's really important that you spend time being a mentor, spend time being a teacher and giving back to, I guess, the younger generation, which you and I are very passionate about. Makes me feel old, right? But like I feel like I have an obligation to help people in their 20s, for example, to grow their business, to help create wealth for themselves, because we've made all the mistakes, right? And I've had a lot of successes as well, and I want to pass that on to them.
It's that selfish unselfishness.
Yeah.
You get a buzz out of helping people. So
I love it.
As well as helping them, getting them, you know, on a good path, it's making you feel good.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. Oh, just one thing I was going to say is, we talk a lot about investing money, but I think a lot can come from investing time, which is what you were saying. So money aside, spending time with your family, we're talking about tough times here. Spouse, spending time with them. Everyone's going through tough times. Just being there is good. Problem shared is a problem halved. So if you do have problems, share them with people. They can give you pointers. Relationships, invest, you know, money aside, invest your time and effort, and you can weather anything.
Time can go further than money, I think.
100%,
Number 8, stop being selfish. This one's for you. You're such a greedy person.
Stop being selfish. So you get a lot in accounting firms. Selfish in a way they don't want to sort of help a client without charging them. They'll even quote you up front, blah, blah, blah. They'll even pre-invoice you before you get the help. So that to me doesn't sound like they genuinely want to help. They might have an issue with getting bills paid, blah, 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 but they're already off the back saying, no, you pay me first. So that kind of approach to things, it's not good. You really want to be giving yourself to the person, helping them first, so that when you do invoice them, they're like, okay, I'll pay the bill. So it's just a different way to think about it.
Give more than you receive. Goes back to that.
And sort of, we do it a lot because of the nature of the business, and we are in business, is you have to give a lot before you get the client, because you've got to show that you're worth dealing with and all that kind of stuff before they even engage you. So it becomes sort of something a business person does by nature.
If I come across a business, like for example, we do business with a lot of other businesses, right? If I come across a business where I feel like the other side is too selfish, I'll cut ties straight away. No doubt about it. This happened last week, right? I obviously won't name the business, but look, it wasn't even a massive deal. It was just they showed their cards, and I was like, Okay, well, it's all about you, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not I'm the client, but it's all about you. So now that I know that, I'm just going to move on to another firm, right?
And she's lost that, he's lost that, whatever you're going to deal with them.
Exactly. So even more so throughout this tough time, you need to empathize how other people's position and know that it's not easy for everyone, and if you can help and try and be selfless, then I think you'll go far in business.
And it's even harder during a tough time to do that.
Of course.
See that person you
That's
dealt
the challenge.
with, they're in the tough time, they're like, no, fuck you. I want to
I'm going to contract.
She's not
I want
trying to
everything.
help. Yeah. So if you can be a helper during the tough time,
It'll come back.
it'll come back. When the good times come, you'll need to hire staff. That's what you have to do. So.
Number 9, positive mindset.
Very
and I
important.
guess a positive attitude, which we don't see a lot of at the moment. You know, like it's this negativity is really sort of funneling through society, and we're finding it with customer service in different businesses. You know, life's hard, but you don't want to be known for that to be that arrogant business or that arrogant person. Like we were talking about a community the other day about a younger generation, and all they care about is being Tony Montana, right? They just want to be gangsters.
They still want to be Montana.
And he's old school, isn't he?
Old school.
But like this generation, and it's not all of them, of kids, shall I say? You know, we're talking maybe teenagers all the way to people in their mid-20s. They all want to be gangsters.
They want to be the bad guy,
right? They want to be a bad guy, right? And it's like, well, why? Like it's not going to get you far, right? Like, yeah, sure, you might get the girl and you might be able to party on the weekends and all of that sort of thing, but you know, like it's not cool to be like that. You're serving no purpose to society, and you know, I think businesses are now starting to take that on as well, where they're being arrogant, right? And it's almost like an ego-driven society. And I don't know if it's social media or whatever it is, or the cost of living pressures, all of that sort of thing, but it really is not going to get you far.
Yeah.
Like as a business, as a person, that arrogance and being egotistical, you know, you might feel good and feel superior that you've had that attitude, but a lot of people are just going to look at you and go, I don't want to deal with that guy. You know?
And you might survive the hard time because you might have something people need, whatever, but and you're being an asshole about it, or you know, you're arrogant and they have to come to you for whatever reason. But when they don't have to come to you, they won't. So when times are better and there's options, it's like ruling through fear and authority. So once the authority is gone, if whatever they have on offer is available elsewhere, they're not going to stick to you.
There's no value.
But if you were a giving natured person or business, even through the hard times you kept giving, they have no reason to.
And we're not saying become a bitch,
No.
right? No. We're just saying be a good person.
That's it. Simple.
It's not hard, right? And this is a thing I'm also very passionate about, of teaching the younger generation about being good people. Like how many spoilt brats do we see out there that don't give a fuck about anyone else, right? How many, you know, teenagers do we see out there getting into fights and posting it on social media and stabbing people? Like it's just
nonsense.
Like why? Why are you doing it? You know what I mean? So I just think, you know, if you can spread that positivity, have a really, really good attitude, help others and show the world that you can do that, I mean, you'll go far.
You know what they have to do? They have to go to poorer countries, travel.
Yes.
And see what tough is really like, and then come back to Australia.
Yeah.
They won't be stabbing people and becoming Montana.
Yeah, look, my barber is an Iranian refugee, and he's just so grateful that he's here.
How happy is the bloke?
He's so
the
happy,
happiest
man.
bloke ever.
He's so happy, and we've seen these teenagers walk past the barber shop, you know, trying to be gangsters and all of that sort of thing, and he goes, Zah, why do these people have to try and be gangsters in this country? You don't need to be. You don't need to be. They should be so happy. But they don't know, right? They're probably not as well travelled as my barber and myself. But yeah, you're right. Like if you go to other countries, you will start to appreciate, sort of, I guess maybe third world countries, you'll start to appreciate what you have here. Yeah. And maybe that arrogance will go, right? That's a really, really important key.
Perspective.
The final thing?
Mindset.
Well,
Well,
I guess it's more sort of long-term mindset.
It's about your
That's the big
attitude.
thing.
It's about your attitude.
Yeah.
I think just touching on, you were saying negative stuff through the media and all that kind of stuff. We spend a lot of our time in our head. 90%, I think 90% of your time you're talking to yourself. And you have a voice, you know, oh, what are you doing? You should do this, do that. You have to make your head a good place to be. If that's not a good place to be, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So the mindset, mental
yeah.
health, and just your mind, just your attitude.
Yeah.
And I guess we were talking about your network and all that kind of stuff. That affects your mindset. So you
And the things that you consume, right? Like
yeah.
a lot of the things that you read or consume on the internet, social media, all of that sort of thing. So make sure you're consuming all of the right stuff and surrounding yourself with the right people. You know, get rid of those friends who are negative and toxic and always talking about how the doom and gloom of the world, because there's so many good things that this life has to offer. And like you said, if you have a long-term view, you're always going to win. You're always going to win. These little blips, as you call it, will be very, very minor throughout your whole life journey, right?
So just keep pushing along, keep positive attitude. Tough times build character, so don't be afraid of them. Just weather through them, try things, take risks, do stuff, learn. Just keep pushing along.
Keep pushing along. Life's going to happen anyway.
Indeed.
All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry again, it's taken us so long for us to come back onto our podcast. We promise next year we'll deliver a lot more. I would like to take this opportunity to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 2023. See ya.